Welcome back to Life is Toxic, and I'm starting to really get sick of this game.
When I went
Only
through
now?
Well,
okay.
Well, I was trying my best not to go throw the "I'm sick of this game" bomb until at the very least we're like halfway through at least, you know.
If you're not gonna believe me,
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
And apparently, I'm not ready for this.
Oh yeah,
Okay, look.
final part
Like
for everybody.
Motherfucker better
Hang on to your butts, as Samuel L. Jackson would say. Sorry, Jova, go on.
You know, like I said before, this game has definitely gone through a change of overall opinion, because back when this game first came out, it may not have been praised by literally everyone and their mother, but it was definitely more liked back then than it is now. And I really do think...
Remember, Jova,
Yes.
good old Britain gave this game quite a few BAFTAs.
Okay, here's the
Thanks, Britain.
I'm not surprised. They gave David Cage BAFTAs as well.
Yeah.
Then you come in and
Look. And if their food is anything to go by, Britain don't exactly have the best of taste.
I mean, we like to make fun of the Oscars that a lot, but it seems the BAFTAs are just as bad, apparently.
I got this.
Oh, no. The BAFTAs were a meme even before the Oscars got to that point.
I'll try to scrounge up a Scooby snack to distract his mangy mutt.
Please do not reference Scooby-Doo. At least don't have it come out of the mouth of literally the worst character in the game, please.
Oh, we gave best game to Returnal, the most recent one.
Okay, and
Progress, I guess.
thanks, Pop. It's been a whirlwind here, and I'm not ready to come home yet. Talk later, Max So. Eh?
Granted, I haven't played Returnal, so...
Returnal is awesome, actually. It's basically... Okay, picture Hades, Jova, but on a AAA scale, basically. That's basically...
Really?
That's
It plays like Hades?
It's a roguelite, yeah. Basically, it also uses its cycles to tell an interesting kind of alternate timeline storyline. Sort of.
I'm guessing with a name like Returnal, it means like, you're eternal, but you're constantly returning to the past, I assume.
Yes and no. It's complicated. When I record that game,
We'll probably eventually cover that game.
Yeah, that game is great. It's fun fact. It's actually Hades' creator's game of the year of 2021. He said.
But yeah. I mean, seriously though, this game though, like, it is fascinating to look at how this game really descended from being the. I'm not sure if it was a critical darling back then. I know it was a commercial darling.
He was.
Okay.
Remember, Clement loves this game. Like, he made a big, one of those big vlog-style review videos he makes, like, based on him, this title means a lot to him and shit like that. So Clement loves the crap out of this game. I don't know if he still feels the same way. Maybe he's changed his mind since then. But back in the day, he loved this game.
And you know what? Again, I was there when this game became popular, and I can kind of get the hype that this game had, especially since it was released episodically, so of course the hype would build with each episode here and there. Like,
How do you
It's interesting
know?
to say that, Joe,
okay.
but go on, finish your point first.
To be fair, at the stage of the game we are, if the writing were good enough,
Grab your keys and let's
the
check
end
out
of this
your
chapter and the last two chapters could have possibly have recontextualized the plot of this game
In
to
other
be
words,
good.
Max, no keys.
Because, to be fair,
could check out
admittedly,
the
despite
even
all
naked,
hell that
and
we
then
have
go
witnessed
all
with these
Groundhog
characters
Day
in
on them
writing,
until I get the
I
info
wouldn't
I
say we're yet to the point we're not yet to the point where the game becomes absolutely irredeemable, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That's your new nickname around the bay. Sorry, but you did earn it.
aw, this cop's nice.
Yeah, he is. It's interesting you mentioned that point, Jova, because I've recently come across
And right on time.
a video from a fan of someone who grew up who played this game back when he was a teenager, and he talked about why he felt disappointed. Like, one of the in his mind, one of the big problems with True Colors is the fact that they released the game entirely, all 5 episodes all at once, like as a full package. Because to him, the fact that you had to wait a couple months between each episode helped build anticipation, it helped the community build theories. It made the whole experience to him a lot more engaging on that regard. Whereas just blowing through the entire game in one afternoon to him doesn't feel as exciting. And I can kind of understand that argument, to be fair. So
Wonder if
I
this
think I
might
can
also...
as well.
A while ago.
Well, especially
So I made a deal.
no, go ahead.
That I
Oh yeah, like, I'm...
like
Jova first. You first. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jojo.
Yeah, like, look, I'm a Steven Universe fan. I absolutely get how anticipation and hype can help build up them sales and all that stuff.
We'll chat later, Max.
So, I do wonder if this might play a factor into partly why, later games didn't sell as well. Granted, I still do hold that the main leading reason is the fact that, again, people have had time to reanalyze this game and realize the problems with it. Especially, once the whole rose-tinted glasses about the, oh my god, a gay relationship that's not stereotypical for one thing, and how that fresh child has well been passed now to the point where, again, I'm not going to say that things are, fixed completely, but there's a lot more better gay representation
Like I said before,
than there was back then.
Like I said before, the bar has been raised since this game came out. Go on, Shira, you were saying?
Shit.
I definitely understand it when it comes to a genre like this, because it's basically like, it's a movie / TV show, and you're just picking dialogue trees. So, waiting for a little bit like you would, a weekly TV show is probably, pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. He was ranting about a stolen
Like any other game, this would be kind of weird.
We can use an example, Shira. We can use an example.
Oh, wait, hold on. That line about David ranting about a stolen gun. Yeah, that's the thing. Chloe actually did steal that gun.
That is true.
Rachel.
Yes. Whatever the fuck. But Shira, we can actually use an example. I can actually think of an example that we can use as a comparison. Let's.
Oh my god, he actually got expelled. So I guess his family don't own the school that much if he was able to get expelled. Like, honestly, that's the thing. The whole bit leads you to think that he'll just get off from it, but no, he gets expelled.
Yep. Let's think about Shiroi, the seasons 2 and 3 of the Tangled series. While it's always like puts you in the wanting to see the next episode, see what happens next, especially after the season 2 cliffhanger. Since I remember you being, I need answers and all that shit, right? But at the same time, binge watching the entire thing doesn't quite feel as exciting because you just blow through it and that's it. But when you're watching it like weekly, it helps build anticipation, it helps build theories, it helps like all that good stuff. So there is something to that kind of experience over binge watching a show.
So get this, apparently Frank took a blood oath for Rachel.
Yeah, everybody in this fucking town loves the hell out of this girl. And don't worry, Shiroi, when we get to Before the Storm, she will not live up to the hype. At all.
You see, Shiroi, Rachel died for our sins.
Yeah, she did.
What the fuck? I never told anybody about that freaky shit. Besides, everybody knows Frank is a liar and a loser.
Oh yeah, because you're fucking you're fucking an example of goodness, aren't you?
But yeah, no, what you brought up earlier is an interesting bit about how binge culture has affected stuff here and there. Admittedly, binge culture has arguably spoiled some people and now wanting a show to be released completely, like season per season, which, in some cases does help, but in other cases doesn't as much.
I'd like to clarify that. I'm not saying that binge watching is inherently a bad thing or anything like that. I'm just saying that for certain shows, it can be a bit detrimental to. Again, like I said. Sometimes waiting a week for an episode really helps build anticipation. It helps, and not to mention, it's more healthy for the community and the discussion. It allows you to build theories, allows you to. But whereas if you blow through an entire show on over a week, you kind of miss that experience. But again, if you
also some shows need time to simmer in your brains. You can think about because Jova mentioned theories and such, and it's like you can't really do that when you're having all that information thrown at you at once.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, there are just as many. Well, maybe not just as many. There are admittedly pros and cons to both sides of things.
Oh, yeah.
Because to be fair, in an episodic game like this, it is nice to build up the anticipation.
You know I
But
saw that
if
photo
your
of Rachel
finale
from-
turns out to be, bad,
How do you know about that?
ooh, that's a lot of time and anticipation
right?
gone down the
She just
drain.
told me that one of Rachel's favorite pictures was the
And
one she did for
okay,
you.
remind me, Pedro.
Really?
When this game first
Yeah,
came
yeah,
out,
that's
well,
what I
okay,
thought.
when the
She was
final
just a
episode
natural
first came
beauty,
out,
you know?
was there like
Wait,
an?
wait, let me
I feel
find it.
like there may have been an
Here,
uptick in people
judge for
disappointed
yourself.
by the ending, given you know what happens in the ending.
I'm sorry, Jova. Could you repeat, please?
I'm trying to recall if
I'm
there
afraid
was
I'll
like
have to
any
take
form
your
of
keys now,
backlash towards the
asshole.
ending
Oh,
when it first
okay.
came out.
I have seen a
You
couple
did not
fans
just
who
do
didn't
that.
really like the ending.
Give me
Again, I
back my
can't quite
keys,
explain
bitch.
why without getting
Give
into
me my
spoilers.
keys now.
But yes, the ending did have its detractors even back then. Yes, not many
Right,
in the fan
yeah.
base. In the fan base, not many, but outside of the fan base, well. The point is, the ending has always had its detractors. Maybe not many
It's
back in the day. Nowadays, definitely quite a few detractors. Yes.
Okay,
based on what
so
I've seen.
so what I'm getting at is like, well, part of the reason for all them detractors is because of the fact that, well, again, all that build-up and whatnot, and well, oh wait,
Alyssa,
hold on, we
watch
can
out.
warn her.
Quick thinking, Max.
You know, the world really has it out for Alyssa, but no, I mean, like,
She
when
didn't
it
even
comes,
do anything.
Yeah.
well, sure, she's the comic relief. You're not laughing, Shiroi.
Laugh, it's funny, goddamn.
No.
But yeah, no, I do feel like, again, while it's not inherently always going to be a legit reason, building up people episodically, especially in something where you have to pay for each episode, like, say, in a game, if...
Oh, running.
Think about it like this.
Alyssa, watch out!
If you're doing bad in the finale, that arguably is time and money especially
thinking,
wasted.
Max.
Which, to be fair, the same could arguably be applied to if you pay for a full game. But paying for these games episodically can make it feel like you're paying more, depending on how they price it anyway.
That actually is a good point, actually, Jova. Another
should've
thing that
known.
also
The
helped that
Amazing
a lot of
Spider-Man.
teenagers get into this
I
series back in the
couldn't
day
have
is
done
the fact that it was
without
episodic, meaning every
Let's get
episode would
in
just be
and
$5. So basically, this was the kind of thing
need
you
this,
could
Max?
get with your allowance, basically. And that's what drew a lot of teenagers to the game. So again, this
Mark, get
so
set.
the episodic format also helped with the demographic that the game got, basically.
Get the treat, boy!
I think we just made that dog our bitch. Get it?
Now we can snoop in peace. But let's not waste time. The doggy is busy now, but he might come back.
So let us venture in.
These two sure love breaking and
my room
entering,
is a
don't
shithole.
they?
You're not a creepy
Don't you
drug
see, it's all for the sake
Frank has
of
issues, but he's not
solving the mystery, and
was
somehow
gonna
this
think
will
so
help
until
us save
someone reaches
Arcadia
bracelet.
Bay.
Well, the idea supposedly is to find what happened to Rachel.
Oh, we could cruise everywhere. in
That
this
will
bad boy.
supposedly help us save Arcadia Bay.
No, it's not so much that. It's more so that Chloe wants to
Tearing
know.
up the highway.
So and Max.
So
of
what
course,
you're saying is that
and
Max
is up-
just
and Max
for-
does whatever Chloe wants.
Chloe,
So
we're on a schedule.
yeah.
We need clues about Rachel.
But Pedro, that implies that Max completely forgot that Arcadia Bay is,
know.
going to get flipping destroyed in a matter of days.
Look at the pretty bunny. Look at the pretty bunny.
No. Don't you mean pay attention to Chloe? Pay attention to
scope the
Chloe.
area.
Only
right,
Chloe
right,
matters.
Right. Don't look at the pretty bunny. Look at Chloe. All that time that you've spent
Frank
looking
is
at the pretty
almost
bunny,
made
that's
for
time you could have been
TV order.
spent looking
This
at
place
Chloe.
is nasty.
So, Shiroi, which are you more concerned for? Literally everyone in Arcadia meeting a gruesome end, or Chloe dealing with the issues with Rachel?
loose.
Burped. So, Dwebs, why don't you
I need
answer that
something to
question?
pry it open.
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
So which do you care for more? The fact that
This is
Arcadia
almost
might be
as good as a
destroyed,
set of
or
keys.
focusing on
Wi-Fi
Chloe's
there. It's taking days
issues?
to download porn.
Yuck.
I mean, a truly great
Chloe isn't
game
scared.
can balance
She's loving
both.
us.
Yeah.
Yes!
Not to
My
say
door
that.
will open any portal.
Not to say that a game's bad if like one isn't quite done as well as the other.
Oh yeah.
But so far this game doesn't really seem to be doing either particularly well. I don't really like
Rachel and
Chloe
Frank's
that
dog.
much, and the
don't
whole
know if I should
trying to
protect
save Arcadia Bay
Chloe's
from the apocalypse thing isn't. I mean, to be honest, it gets mentioned like once every chapter, but then that's it.
Yeah, let me read this.
Yeah, but yeah, again, that's the.
Hope you read this first thing in the morning. Sorry about last night. I was being a monstrous bitch and took it out on you. And poor Pompidou, that's Frank's dog. There's a lot of weird shit going on in my life, and sometimes I feel like I'm never going to get out of Arcadia Bay. Thank God for you. You're one of the best things I have here, and I smile when I think of us together. Let's just drive out of here forever. Love you always, Rachel Amber. So there you go. Rachel has been cheating on Chloe with Frank.
Wait, hold on. Did Chloe ever like confirm that Rachel was her actual girlfriend?
Remember, Joe, you can have that happen in the prequel. So,
well, yeah, but okay. For the context of this game, though.
Well, she kind of implies in the rant she's about to have, if that helps you. How about this? Let's wait a bit, because she's going to literally say that in a moment, Jova. So wait a bit. That was not cool what you did, Frank. You don't blame the drugs. You actually scared me, and I thought you'd never chill out. It never seemed that you act that way, blah, blah, blah. I'm a Leo, and we don't look back. I care about you, us, so maybe we need to break our routine. Blah, 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 something, troubled relationship. And now let's hear Chloe's reaction to all of this.
Too bad I don't have my Frank Bowers decoder ring.
Yeah, let's see what Chloe thinks of all this that we just found.
It makes me ill that Rachel posed like this for Frank. I wrote him love letters. I can't believe she was banging Frank. Rachel straight up lied to my face. Why didn't she say anything?
Because she knew how you would react.
And she wasn't much of a friend, huh? Just another person who shits all over me. Why does everybody in my life let me down? My dad gets killed, he bailed on me for years. My mother gloms
My
on the
dad
sick
gets
fucker.
killed,
Now
he
Rachel
let me
goes-
down.
Chloe,
Whoa.
Rachel is missing.
Calm
Nobody
down,
betrayed
bitch,
her.
okay?
Bullshit. Who hasn't? Fuck everybody. Chloe.
Are you liking Chloe yet?
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's the thing though. So far, she's been just whining about everything. She's like Hope. Just bones about everything.
You think that's bad, Lips? Check out the scene that we're about to get now, because this is the scene that I'm just... Holy fuck.
Wow, well that happened.
Jove, is it okay for... Shira, you're just in time. We just discovered that Rachel has been cheating on Chloe with Frank. Check this out. Listen to this.
Well, okay, again, it's not gonna...
You can't keep blaming me and everybody for everything wrong in your life. It's so not fair.
Thank you.
I gotta blame somebody, otherwise it's all my fault. Fuck that.
Fuck you. Like,
Grow up.
fuck off. Yeah.
I mean, Chloe, depending on the circumstances, you know, it might not even be your fault, you know?
And also, to be fair, it's never actually said outright that Rachel cheated on Chloe. It's more that...
That doesn't make me feel any better about my fucked up life. Get it?
Wow, you are a fucking C word. Is it okay for a dude to say the C word?
Hello?
I mean, yeah.
You are a cunt.
Dude, damn
You
right.
are a
Go out and leave
cunt.
me
Jova, help me.
Nah, no thanks. I'd rather just go to pointing out the fact that
Pedro,
Chloe...
Joe doesn't really
My mom
swear.
actually blames herself.
He's not gonna say the C word.
Right. Sorry, Jova, sorry.
Sometimes
Sorry.
even I
But
do.
yeah,
The point is she's a
but yeah,
cunt.
no, again.
Yes, Max,
Okay,
I do.
now to be fair,
You know
it's...
what it's like to
Now,
wait
like
for
I
your
said,
father
the
to come home
dialogue
when
never
you're
actually states
And he
that
never
Rachel
does.
cheated on Chloe, just that she lied to Chloe about hooking up with Frank. Which, to be fair, going off of
wish that
Before
made me
the
feel
Storm, that can mean
But ever
multiple
since he died,
things,
my life has
and given
been
that
dipped in
this was
shit.
made before the Storm, yeah, there's nothing to actually claim that... Well, there's nothing to confirm
You don't
that
want to hear
Rachel
this,
and Chloe
but you're
were
still
actually
here,
going steady
alive,
overall.
with
That
me.
being said, though, I
And
love
there's
how
no
this all
accident.
just
You're
pretty
right.
much devolves
I
into
don't
Chloe
like this.
saying, I blame my
Chloe,
father for
I
dying.
can't do
Yeah.
this
And don't get me
anymore.
wrong, a well-enough
need
written
you with me.
character can get
I need
away
you
with that
with
kind of dialogue, but not Chloe. Like, holy cow.
Let's relay
Not
that because I
Chloe.
actually want to show some of the alternate
I thought you
dialogue.
said you don't like going back at this point. I don't want to get more of
Chloe,
this,
you
but you
can't
know,
keep
fair
blaming
enough.
me
Let's
and
look at
I
it.
everybody
wanted to
for
show some
everything
alternate
wrong in your
dialogue
life.
bits.
It's so not fair.
Gotta blame somebody.
You
Otherwise, it's all my
are
fault.
a
Fuck that.
cunt. Anyway, it's nobody's fault, you stupid bitch.
Shit happens. It's nobody's fault. Blah, 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 as Mr. Jefferson would say. And Kate Marsh.
Yes, Kate Marsh almost killed herself. Such sad, okay? That doesn't make me feel any better about my fucked up life. Get it?
Wow, it almost sounds like you'd rather she'd have died, Chloe.
Yeah, who exactly are you?
You blame
David?
I said my dad. My real father, who got himself killed.
He didn't get himself killed. He was an accident. It was a car accident.
Your dad did.
Again, I get that she may be grieving, but
Again,
no.
this is the result of issues not being dealt with.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I am.
You know what? You know what?
Done.
Go
on.
You know, Shuri, that's the thing.
Chloe,
Your point is a
can't
good
keep
point.
blaming me and
I just
everybody
wish the
for
game
everything
would
wrong in
address
your
the
life.
fact that Chloe
so not
really
fair.
constantly keeps
I blame
dodging herself.
somebody.
Like, yeah,
Otherwise,
she
it's all
is
my
finally
fault.
getting called out for it.
Remember, Java, when I used this
Fault
clip
too.
in our
Jesus, she
13
was
redo,
banging that
where
big
Hope
Frank.
Yes.
just needed to
lied
blame
in my
someone,
face,
as he put it.
Anybody again.
So yeah, again, to be fair, it's not so much that
Until
Rachel cheated on Chloe as far as we knew, just the
Chloe
fact that she
Price.
lied to her about
You
banging
better take
Frank.
that back.
Which could imply several things, like
fine.
either Chloe was
just don't
interested in
understand.
Frank, which,
Like I'm being
yeah,
punished by
that
the
just leads
universe.
to a whole new
Also, you
avenue
almost
of
went away.
problems.
In fact,
Chloe, not for nothing, but you haven't been helping yourself for that regard.
what Webb said,
And
you see, everybody, I hate this scene so much that, little warning, prepare yourself for a
Chloe, you
rant
can't keep
on
blaming me
Chloe
and
at the end of this
everybody for
part,
everything
because
wrong
I
in
need
life.
to get the
It's so
fuck
not
out of
fair.
my system.
Yep, you,
Okay.
you hate the scene so much you've been replaying it over and over.
It's
Go on.
just life.
Oh,
Shit
okay, you know,
happens. It's nobody's
stories
fault.
like these
Blah, blah,
are
blah, as Mr.
frustrating,
Jefferson
where the
would say.
writers will
Kate
definitely try to
Marsh.
pull at
Yes,
your
Kate Marsh
heartstrings with a
almost killed
character
herself.
who
Such
clearly
sad,
has suffering
okay? That
problems.
doesn't make me
So
feel any better about my
it's
fucked up life.
frustrating because
Get it?
sometimes it feels like they're trying to make you feel guilty
My
for
fucking
calling
dad,
out the
of
character
course.
because,
Hello?
yes, there are people like
blame
this, and yes,
William?
just telling them to bucken up and
Yes,
cheer
I
up
do.
is not
Damn
always the
right.
way to go
He
about
chose to go out
things.
that door and leave me for
However,
Chloe,
keep in
your
mind,
dad didn't choose to.
even though
I know
Max
that.
is trying her darndest to help Chloe,
Mom actually
Max
blames
is
herself.
not a therapist.
Just because she wanted to ride home from work.
So there is really
Sometimes
only so much
even
Max
No, you
or other
don't.
people could do.
Yes,
Like, and
Max, I
granted,
do.
we're
you know what
not
it's
told
like to wait
if
for your father to
Chloe's
come home when
parents
you're a
tried to
kid?
get her
But he never
therapy or
does.
whatnot.
No,
Like,
of
so
course
for
not.
all we know, they did. Like,
But I
again,
was
the
with you
game
that
really
day. It
wants
was
us
just
to
a terrible
empathize with
accident.
Chloe,
I wish
but
that made
it
me
does
feel
not
better.
do a good enough
But ever
job to
since he
paint
died, my life has been
a
dipped in
complete
shit.
enough picture. For all we know, this is Chloe intentionally
You don't want to
self-destructing.
hear
And
this,
yes, that
but
is
you're
sad
still
and tragic as well.
alive with me,
And,
and that is no accident.
well, I'm sorry.
You're right.
I
don't
can't
know
exactly
this.
give her my
Chloe,
sympathy
I
when
can't
she is
do
literally
this out on my
making
own.
stuff worse for
I
everyone.
need
Like,
you with me.
that's the thing. It's one
I
thing
need
if
you
you're
with
doing
me.
it to yourself. That is still bad. But it's another thing if you are intentionally damaging other people or dragging people
I'm not
down
even
with
apologizing for it.
Yeah.
Like, people
I-
have outbursts when they're going through shit, but people tend to, either immediately apologize or like apologize later in the day. But Chloe, it's just like, it's constant, and I feel like the writers are just trauma dumping at this point, and it's not nice to actually sit through.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
And hold on, Java. And now, Shiro, guess what? This is where I have to start calling fucking bullshit on the time travel. Guess what? Shiro?
Again, only now.
Well, I was trying
But
my
yes,
best not to, immediately go for the jugular, Jova,
Oh, trust me, Pedro. That's how I was with Chloe earlier in this playthrough,
my
where
God.
I was waiting until she
What is happening
actively
here?
started
Sure.
to get terrible. But oh yeah, here we
So,
go.
guess what, guys? Out of nowhere, Max gains yet another time-traveling ability.
Oh boy, and this one is oh my god, now that I think about it, this kind of okay, it's not entirely ghost trick, but god,
Yeah.
we're about to get a heavy ghost trick moment.
Yeah, basically, if Max looks and focuses on a photo, she can time travel back to the moment when the photo was taken. This power comes the fuck out of nowhere, and once again, it's not explained. Okay,
Someday Dad will get one of them
Writers.
newfangled computers.
This raises so many damn questions.
Writers, at this point, you're pushing it. You can't just pull powers out of your ass whenever you need them for the plot. Okay, you need to be more, you know, to be more smart about how you write these things. You can't just pull a power out of your ass like this.
Okay.
This raises so many questions. One, does it have to be a picture that includes Chloe in it? Two, does this mean that she could go back in time to flipping Roman times if she looks?
I can actually answer that. It doesn't need to have Chloe in that. Based on the whole game, Jova, it doesn't seem like there's any limitations. Again, you can tell that this ability was put in here for the sake of the plot.
I volunteer to break the egg.
So yeah, Max is back at that fateful day when William died in a car accident. So as you can probably guess, she's going to try to change destiny and save William.
I'm guessing it doesn't work ultimately.
Actually,
Yeah, just wait and see.
Unfortunately, Shiroi, the butterfly effect is a bitch.
I am when your mom is away.
Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised the game remembers that.
Again,
So,
sorry.
hold on. I'll wait till we get to a certain point, but I'll soon be able to elaborate on what I meant when there were more books of this.
Okay. And there you go.
So yeah, this is back before Chloe became an absolute terror.
Yeah.
Hey, honey. Just making a fabulous breakfast with Chloe and Max. We're all going to work at the Two Whales. What? Oh, I didn't know you had to get groceries. Of course I'll come pick you up. Now I'll have an excuse.
There's the fateful moment.
Love you.
I have to stop William from taking his car today.
Ladies, I have to go rescue
But
young
how?
man. Save Mart. She doth have many bags of delicious.
Basically, we have to stop him from getting his car keys.
You'll be grateful for that someday.
Yeah, let me just finish my point. Again.
Hide his keys in the sofa.
Again.
Oh my god! And guys, if you listen, Chloe was actually not even really into swearing to the point where they had a swear jar. Again, doesn't it show how different she was?
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. The whole point that the writers are trying to illustrate is that the accident traumatized her and changed her forever and all that shit, blah, blah, blah.
But yes, also, even in the past, you can still do the time travel stuff. So, yeah.
That's true.
Okay.
So how many eggs?
For me, it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, okay, let me finish my earlier point. Yes, I understand. And there's nothing. I understand that this is a time travel story. I understand. Obviously, I'm not expecting realism or anything like that. The problem is not that. The problem is that the writers are being very careless with the way they're using their time travel. They've gotten to a point where they're literally pulling new time travel abilities out of their ass just to force the storyline in the direction that they want. You have to be more, you know, careful and smart about how you write these things, because otherwise it just feels contrived. It feels cheap, you know. Like never at any point has Max ever. Are you honestly trying to tell me that Max has never focused her eyes on a photo before this point?
You have to stop him from driving
Okay,
anywhere.
maybe if the story threw in this thing that her powers are evolving with time, and that's to show that time is getting more unstable, which I can't believe I'm going to say this. Quantum Break actually did this concept better.
And this is the last time unless I change it.
Yeah, like, you know, I'll give Quantum Break credit. They at least explained why the protagonist was getting new powers here and there that apparently coincided with how messed up the whole time energy stuff was getting.
Hello?
So here's the point.
Hey, honey.
He can always use that little thing that makes it so that the car keys will ring, so that he always knows where. So even if you hide them, he will always be able to find them. So we have to find a way for the car keys not to beep.
I'll admit, this actually is one of the more interesting puzzle moments of the game.
Sure, it actually, like, the obvious answer is not the correct one.
Many bags of delicious grub for us to feast
You are
upon.
ridiculous.
You'll be grateful for that someday. Shit.
In fact, I'm about to demonstrate how he finds the keys even if you keep them on you.
Keys, please.
What do you think, Dwebs, about the way the game is handling time travel at this point?
Alright,
Shit, where are those
yeah, I'm
keys?
pretty sure, I swear I've seen other things where
You're
they just pull
bankrupting
time
me.
travel powers out of their ass.
Would you say this is at least doing it well?
This is not the best
Okay,
time
to
for
be
a
honest,
plan.
the only other
Please,
time
please.
I've seen time travel through
I was just,
photograph in fiction
Are you sure
was
yours
Red
is ready?
Dwarf. Basically, there was an
let's
episode of
just
that
wait.
where
sorry.
development fluid
get you
for
back
photos
someday.
have mutated somehow, and that can cause photos not only to come to life,
And no Chloe
but
and Max orientation
but you can actually
session.
go inside them.
Don't blow it.
Although,
because tonight your mother promised to make us a
one
world
condition
famous
being
salmon
you
surprise
can't
with
go out of
chocolate
you
cake
can't go
Nice.
outside the
You'll be
frame of the
forever.
photograph.
She's never leaving me.
I
makes
mean,
all
it
of
kind of
us.
contradicts itself. Although it kind of contradicts it. Although it kind of contradicts itself in a very important point, just like this does. So really, this game is no better than an episode of a British sitcom in 1989.
I love that poignant line they make. Max is never leaving me. Well, that makes all of us. Then he literally walks off into the light. Like,
Don't go into the light.
I have to go now. I find it needs me.
Allow me to remind you that this is the day where both Max moves away and her father died. So Chloe loses her best friend and her father in the same day. Well, not in the same day.
the context is that Max didn't know she was moving. I think the context is that Max didn't know she was moving at this point in time.
Was it? That's the thing. I'm not entirely sure where the farewell episode from Before the Storm takes place exactly.
Hey, honey.
But again, I guess. Anyway, so basically, here's what you have to do. You have to put the keys underwater.
What?
That'll short him out.
Yeah. There you go. This and the fact that this triggers a cutscene is your tell that you did it right.
I know I had those keys right here. I know it. Forgot all about you, little buddy.
We did it, guys. We
Release the
saved
keys.
David. Sorry, not David. William. William.
Last time I
See, the thing about William's that he's not that interesting of a character.
right?
Like, he's just kind of a nice dad, and that's it.
Admittedly, this is partially because the game doesn't do much with him for
It comes every
reasons.
day, and plenty of room for you and Joyce and groceries and it'll save the environment.
You sold me already. I'm off to yonder bus stop.
Yonder bus.
Joyce will love this.
Nothing goes into the light again.
So there you go. Just
Yeah.
Fucking strange. You feel it?
Honestly, I never got why they didn't just have him go out the door. Like, I get that it's supposed to look symbolic and all that, but I don't know. I just think
I
that's
can actually explain that,
stupid.
Jova. The way the photographic time travel works is that you travel to just that specific moment. Everything outside of that moment in the photo is just light outside of it. Like, it's actually an intentional artistic choice on their part, actually, to be fair.
Okay, I was wondering if that's like an intentional thing story-wise as well.
It's more like
So yes,
it's an artistic choice, basically, on part of the developers, basically.
so observe now as time gets reworked.
Yeah, this is basically the game's way of demonstrating time being rewritten. So there you go. And she even got herself a car. Take a wild guess what
I'm
happens.
guessing that
Go on, Shira.
I'm guessing the photo at least has to have Max in it though for her to actually go back to the time.
Shiroi, not that we're told. The game never at any point explains how this works. It just does.
And now I give to you the new timeline.
So there you go. In this new timeline, Max is part of the Vortex Club.
Max. Never Maxine.
I know. Sorry,
Man,
Max.
you really broke
You're not this
time,
guy,
didn't you, Max?
right?
Yeah,
Okay, so this is actually an interesting concept. We are now in essentially a timeline changed by our actions to a heavy degree.
So, Shiroi, I have a
Courtney,
question.
you don't want anybody in the club.
Yeah?
Now that Chloe doesn't lose her father anymore, obviously she doesn't become the horrible... oh, there you go. Good for you, Warren. Good for you. Exactly. Anyway, sorry, I had to say that. The point is, okay, Shiroi.
Yeah.
Obviously, Chloe no longer becomes the punk that she is in the original timeline now. So, Take a wild
He's
guess.
actually a
Shiroi.
decent person in this timeline.
So take a wild guess, Shiroi. How are the developers gonna make you care for this new Chloe now that she's a completely different character by this point? Yeah, and David's not a bus driver now. Take a wild guess, Shiroi.
She's the quiet girl, I guess, now.
In a manner of speaking.
In a matter of speaking,
I got it.
guess.
I got a theory.
Go on.
Is she dead now?
She's the one who died in that car accident.
Actually, no, she's not dead.
You're close, Dwips.
Or
Let's
did
just let
Dad
them
die
wait.
anyway?
You'll see.
Let's just let them wait and see.
Let's just say
Mom
Shiroi.
died instead.
Let's just say Shiroi. I don't think you're going to like it at all.
Oh boy.
I sure.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't, and I have my reasons. I suspect you're not gonna like it, but again, I'll just let you speak for your mom.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing. Overall, this timeline seems better.
I don't know.
Again,
That's because
Red Dwarf.
that's probably because you've actually seen a plot in the last 5 years, Shiroi.
So you're saying, Dwibs, that these
No,
people...
no, I don't know this.
So you're saying,
Yes,
Dwibs,
Major?
that, so you're saying this that Michael Cogg and Raoul Barbet, the directors, ripped off an episode of Red Dwarf, basically.
I don't know, means he changes time via photograph.
Fucking hell.
Oh no, not the whales!
I will give this game one thing.
Beach whale.
I will give this game one thing. It's commentary gold. This game is like so easy to riff on because it's
Run to
constantly
her,
doing
Chloe.
stupid thing after stupid
sorry.
thing after stupid thing.
Run to her, Max. Run to your...
Run to her, Max.
Let me guess. She's in a relationship with what's her name?
You wish.
Rachel? It's
Yeah.
funny you mention that, but
No, Rachel-
I will mention...
Rachel is actually
But I
still
will
missing
say
in this
after this part
timeline.
is over.
Yeah, Rachel's still missing in this timeline.
Which is also supposed to be your hint about something, but I won't spoil what that is.
She's dating the drug dealer.
No,
What was his name again?
Frank.
Okay, I thought so.
Max Caulfield.
William's alive. We did it.
After taking Seattle by storm, huh? We thought we'd never see you again after you left for the big city.
No. I'd never do that to Chloe.
Speaking of, I know she's been dying to see you.
What, is
Hold on.
Chloe a cat in this universe or something?
Chloe, you have a visitor.
Is she disabled now?
Congratulations, Shiroi.
Yeah, she is.
Are you fucking kidding me, game?
How did this happen?
She had a car crash.
Yeah.
And that's how that happened. Whoops.
I was right about the car accident.
Oh.
Okay. So basically, Dwibs, believe it or not, your bit about Chloe being in a relationship with Rachel actually does occur in another timeline that's in a book. Basically, the other two books.
Well, I don't count that.
Basically, the other two books look into other alternate timelines of Chloe and Max's and whatnot. And one of them actually involves one where Rachel doesn't go missing, and Chloe is in a relationship with her.
Dwibs, question. Do you want to voice your thoughts about this whole affair right now in case you need to go?
I'll be quick. Okay, I won't fully comment on this ending yet because I want to see how the game handles it in the next episode.
Sure.
Hang on, speaking of the next episode, where end of the world
party, subtle.
Hey guys,
I mean,
the
to
world
be-
is ending. Let's party! Woo!
I mean, to be fair, that is something that would happen.
Let's get hella wasted.
Basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're going to be feeling the hangover tomorrow.
Yeah, you get to get drunk without the consequences
Go on.
because you're all gonna fucking die anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Although I am at least interested to see from the game's perspective how the hell all that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did Max get into the Vortex Club? How did Chloe end up in the wheelchair? And a pretty severe state from the look of it. And what exactly's changed about the potential end of the world in this timeline?
Okay.
All right, that's it.
All right. My position on this ending of episode 3 is this. One, so this is it. This is your new way of trying to get me to give a shit. Turn Chloe into a cripple. That is incredibly insulting. The fact that you're just resorting to such a cheap, horrible trick like this. That to me go on.
Now let Pedro finish.
I was just going to say, to be fair to the game, I wouldn't say that that's automatically their way to get you to care for her, because admittedly, Chloe is already more likable, like, you know, when she's out of blue hair mode. Like, we kind of see from the get-go that Chloe is more likable, and I wouldn't say that this is the game's way of trying to get you to care for her. If anything, it's more a catalyst of things set in motion. Oh, don't get me wrong, it is...
Go on.
It's still just reek of some emotional manipulation. And trust me, I absolutely do get that the game is trying to get us to like Chloe. But I never really got that from this. I just got this as a sense of, this is more so something to generate a reason for why Max may want to set things back to how they were, as opposed to getting us to like this particular Chloe.
Let me explain what I mean. I'll use an example that Shira has brought up occasionally here and there. Like in Last of Us Part 2, they force us to kill dogs as Ellie, and then they make us feel bad for killing those dogs, you know? In here, they make us, mess with the timeline and save William, and what's our reward? Our supposed best friend character gets crippled. So obviously this is supposed to be like a big heartbreaking twist, right? And to me, it just comes across as incredibly insulting and manipulative to the fact that you're just, again, this game has some serious problem with the handicap, apparently, because they just love using that stuff to manipulate the crap out of you and get a rise out of you. And to be perfectly honest, I find it absolutely disgusting, the way this game treats the handicapped, to be honest with you.
Don't get me wrong, like, all that stuff is terrible. I hesitate to call just because she's handicapped means that this is, like, misuse of the handicap. Though, like, again, her being handicapped is a result of the butterfly effect. Like, So to be fair, like, that's a thing that you could see in almost any story where basically the lesson is don't mess with time, or this one caveat occurs which often prompts, the protagonist to want to set things right. So honestly, again... now what I would take this to be is a manipulative means to get people to appreciate the timeline where Chloe is, well, the good old Chloe, because, hey, at least she's not a cripple there. Like, it is very manipulative
that's my problem.
In that regard.
That's why I hate this. I hate being... Don't get me wrong. Storytelling is, at its core, manipulation. You're manipulating the audience into making you feel for your characters that are not real. So when you get right down to it, that's what storytelling is. But you need to make sure that if the audience feels like they're being manipulated, if the audience notices and breaks the illusion, that's the worst thing. When you feel like you're being manipulated, that's when the story dies in your mind, basically.
Elaborate what I mean. Like, well, I do feel that there's manipulation, just not the type of manipulation you think there. Because, to be fair, if anything, I feel like it's the opposite of them trying to get us to like this particular Chloe. It's them trying to get us to appreciate the old timeline Chloe. Which is my answer.
I don't like her.
Yeah. And you know what? This may be spoiling, but this Chloe is still better than older Chloe in the sense that she's actually still a good person. And you know what? Honestly, if the game didn't go a certain way, we could probably just stick with this timeline.
That's the thing, Jova. I strongly disagree with that, but I can't explain why because I would have to spoil what happens in episode.
No, Pedro. Hence why I said if it weren't for a certain thing, we probably could have stuck with this timeline. Like, the thing.
Yeah.
Oh boy, like, it's like I said, not only is this game bad, but it can be downright frustrating. And part of it is due to the lack of choices and everything. And I get it, that maybe they didn't have the budget for all different, like, completely different routes and everything, but it gets especially annoying when we get towards the culmination of this timeline.
To me, it's just like, I'm sorry, to me, it just feels cheap, manipulative, and to me, here's what this says to me. It tells me that the writer has nothing. The writer doesn't know how the fuck to make me care, so the only thing he can do is pull the, oh look, your actions caused this person to become a cripple. And I'm just like, fuck you. Like, I'm
sure, Ray, let me ask.
I'm just mad. I'm just mad at you for
I'll wait for you guys to finish first.
No, go on.
Sure, do you believe that this is the timeline we're going to stick with? Because, again, aside from Chloe, well, actually, again, even with Chloe, because she's a better person in this timeline, things are arguably better, right?
I mean, even if you guys didn't already hint at it, like, no, I wouldn't have expected them to stay with this timeline at all. Like,
exactly. Like,
so I guess William's got to die. So.
And trust me, that's a whole nother can of worms when you honestly think about it.
Yeah. So, Shiri, what are your thoughts on this ending of episode 3?
All right, they're pretty mixed. I do want to see where the game goes with this, aside from the going back in time, because I honestly thought, okay, like they're doing a thing where it's like obviously some kind of horrific accident is going to happen to this family, and I thought it would be the father specifically that would end up dying eventually, or the mother. I didn't expect it to be Chloe, and I did have in my mind, like when we were talking about it, it's like they made her disabled, didn't they? They just made her disabled
because of an accident and a car crash. Now, to be fair, she's not dead. She's apparently still alive.
Which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, because the father just straight up died. And it's like, I know Chloe's a different person, but it's like, I feel like they only kept her alive to get Max to do the U-turn on the going back in time thing.
Oh,
it does feel manipulative to me as well. But at the same time, and like, okay, this is like the disabled community is the only marginalized community you can join at any point in your life. It doesn't matter who you are. Considering what we've seen of Chloe up to this point is her, double parking in disabled spaces and stealing money from disabled people, I kind of see this as a little bit of karma. I don't know. God. That's probably bad to that's probably really bad to say, but it's like, yeah, you kind of get what's coming here,
Yeah, the sad thing though is like, well, it happens to the good Chloe though.
That's the thing, Shiwa. Remember, you're supposed to feel sorry that this happened. That in itself shows you that this story just doesn't work.
The fact that your first reaction is that this is karma, and again, honestly. Look, you are probably not alone in feeling that Chloe probably got some karmic irony there.
Oh, no. I still have my rent, so go ahead and finish, guys, because I still have to get my rent out of my system. Go on.
Oh,
I won't be much longer with this anyway, but yeah, I still want to see where it goes. If the writers did better at handling Chloe, calling her out appropriately, trying to get her some help, maybe I would feel for this whole situation, but no, Chloe just snaps at everyone with no consequences, and we know why that's happening. But the writers are using her to trauma dump, in my opinion, and it's horrible to watch. Like, you can't really connect with her as a character at all, and like everybody just deals with her crap around her, and like. I can't feel sorry for, like, if I liked that Chloe, again, I would feel sorry for AU Chloe, but I just don't. This feels like Oh yeah, they're absolutely using this to manipulate, the going back in time part of the story. Because I'm guessing you don't get the option here. I'm guessing it's just flat out, nope, you gotta go back.
You gotta go
okay,
back.
Sure. If you think things are manipulative now, wait till you see just what happens in this timeline.
Believe it or guess what, you I also hate this Chloe for a reason that I can't say yet.
Okay, and you know what? I know that reason. And you know what? Yeah, that's a good reason to hate her too, but that's a sad thing. Even with the better Chloe, we will get issues. That said though, for the sake of context here, as far as we know, this is Chloe better. And mind you, even knowing what I do know, yep, this Chloe is still better than the actual Chloe from the main timeline. 'Cause, jeez. And yeah, like you said,
this whole thing, this game is it's great commentary fodder, but it's also stressful. This game is stressing me out.
And mind you, it's probably best that we're commentating on this now, because man, again, I tell you, back in the day, if you critiqued this game, you would get drawn and quartered by the massive fan base that it had back in the day. And again, to be fair, with times being how they were back then, I can definitely see how this would have spoken, especially to its target audience, like Pedro was mentioned, for multiple reasons, teens and whatnot. But yeah, no, standards have risen here. In both the gay writing department and just the writing teenagers and better department as well. I mean, mind you, arguably that was better, but we've gotten more, shall we say, relatively down-to-earth video games since Life is Strange as well.
I don't think I would have been as, I wouldn't have been able to explain it as well, but I think even back then, despite being what was the little queer representation at the time, I still don't think I would have liked this. Everything about it just rubbed me the wrong way.
Oh yeah, that's Life is Strange in a nutshell for you.
Pedro, are you done, Jova?
Yeah.
Pedro, do you want to have the floor?
I hate this. I just whatever. Okay.
Which part specifically?
Okay, I want to rewind because I didn't get a chance to comment on that horrible scene in the truck where Chloe starts saying, "Oh, gotta blame somebody, otherwise it's all my fault." Fuck that. Yes, Kate Marsh almost killed herself. Whoop-de fucking did. That makes me feel better about my sad life. That's the scene that I want to talk about right now. Okay.
Yeah, I actually really dug into Chloe that bit.
Yeah, now it's my turn. Okay. Before I start, I want to make something perfectly clear. I understand that different people grieve differently. I understand that not everybody that a lot of people are just not capable of dealing with grief. Sometimes grief outright destroys a person. I understand that. However, that's not if the game explored that topic, then maybe I would let this slide. However, I at this point have deemed these writers way too incompetent to write anything well. So I'm just going to assume that that's not what they're going for because well, it's not like you see any of that shit right now. This is clearly just incredibly stupid, bad, careless writing. That's all this is. So, as a result, I will not feel bad about what I'm about to say. Because Chloe in particular insults me deeply in terms of coping with the death of a relative. Because let me tell you a story about my high school days. Back when I was in high school, okay, let me I need to offer some little more context before I get to that. Back when I was a little kid, my parents because of their job, they couldn't take care of me until 6 p.m. or something. I could only be with them in the night because they were busy working. As a result, I would live most of my days with my grandparents on the part of my mom. My mom's parents, basically. As a result, my maternal grandmother was basically my second mom, basically. I loved her just as much as I love my mom because, she took care of me during the day and my mom took care of me during the nights, basically. Mm. So guess what? When I was in high school, she died in the hospital because she was having asthma troubles and she died. And guess what? It was a very it was a very, very horrible time in my life because, remember, this was my first time dealing with death. And remember, it wasn't just a grandma. This person was basically just as dear to me as my mom. Because, like I said, ever since I was like 5, she's been basically, she helped raise me, basically. And guess what? That didn't turn, and guess what? It's not even just that. Ever since then, I've also lost my grandfather, who was, basically my mom's dad. And I've also, last year, lost my father's grandmother. My father's mother, sorry. Okay. So I know a thing or two about losing relatives. Specifically relatives that, I love, that have raised me, that I know deeply and all that stuff. And guess what? That didn't turn me into a shithead. So Chloe, fuck off. As a person who has lost not a parent, but a parent for all intents and purposes at the same age that you did, and the fact that you're so obnoxious and so, and so completely irresponsible about taking responsibility for your actions, you fucking offend me. This kind of writing offends me, to be perfectly honest with you. And like I said, yes, I understand some people don't deal with grief as well as you do, Pedro. Well, that's true. That is true, I acknowledge that. But at the same time, the way this is executed in the story just feels so fucking horrible to me.
If I may, I think I know the reason. There do be stages of grief here. Chloe feels like she's been stuck at rage for how many years was it since her dad died? That amount of years. Which, again, here's the problem. She has been stuck in that bout here and there. I mean, and I get it, that maybe that can make for a compelling story, but it doesn't. It just has her does terrible things and then try to use that to justify her actions. How riveting a character.
To me, it's because the reason this particular part of the playthrough pisses me off so much is because this actually does offend me on a personal level. Because to me, this is just a complete misrepresentation of this kind of issue. Because I have that trauma of losing a parent. Not like a parent, but my grandmother, for all intents and purposes, was a parent.
Yeah, she practically raised you, from what you're saying.
Yeah. So don't come at me with your boo-hoo, my dad died. My grandma died, and guess what? Oh, but and it was a very traumatizing moment for me, time for me. In fact, here's a fun fact. I couldn't, not fun fact, but you know what I mean. I didn't even go into the graveyard when it was because I just couldn't bear to watch, her going, the coffin being put underground and everything. I just stayed outside while the rest of my family, because I just couldn't. I literally just couldn't. I had to stay outside and just grieve in my own way right there, crying and all that stuff. So I know a thing or two about losing a parent, Chloe, and you have no fucking excuse about what you're doing right now. Fuck you.
I get, this, therapy is difficult to access, especially in a place like America, which this game takes place. But
wait, hold on, no. We got plenty of therapists on hand, actually, in America.
But aren't they expensive for you? Is what I mean.
Not all are expensive. It actually very much varies. And heck, now, okay, admittedly, back then, V-calls may not have been as prominent, but heck, nowadays it's even more accessible with virtual chats and whatnot. Granted, if you do want to still speak to a therapist in person, yes. And yeah, okay. Some therapists are more expensive than others, is the point. In my experience, I've never been to a therapist with myself, but I do have family and friends who have seen therapists here and there. It doesn't seem like it should be awfully expensive, though. I guess one has to wonder if this town even has a therapist.
I should rephrase my point in that case, but she or the family may not have access to help for one reason or another, which is fair enough. But again, as we've all pointed out, trauma shouldn't make you bully people. Like,
No.
because Chloe's a bully, like, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Carry on.
Tragic backstory or not, that does not automatically justify your actions.
No.
It's a reason, not an excuse. And again, like I mentioned, the game doesn't even bother to actually elaborate on if they've tried therapy or whatnot. As far as we know, Chloe just got worse and nobody did anything. Which is weird, given how her mother actually does seem to be trying to help her, so... Like, again, what's the full story there? It feels like the game is trying to have its cake and eat it.
Yeah.
Yes, Pedro?
I am so fucking looking forward to doing the World Ends With You, so I can showcase how you can have a main character do some the most atrocious things in the world, and still somehow manage to get the audience behind that character. How? With good fucking writing, that's how.
No, I'm gonna say it right now. There are villains in media that have more charisma than Chloe has.
Oh, yeah.
And not just, your typical tragic history villains. Screw it. I'd say, Batman's rogue gallery as a whole, I can feel more sorry for than her. And even ones that we're supposed to hate.
It's not even... Chloe isn't even fun to hate. She's just obnoxious and repulsive.
It's like I said. Chloe would have worked so much better as a villain. A tragic villain, yes, but a villain nonetheless. Because,
Shira mentioned bullies, that Chloe's a bully. Look at Luca. The villain of Luca is a bully in every sense of the word, and yet he's such a fun character that it's the ultimate definition of a villain who's fun to hate. Because he has so many funny lines. He's horrible, don't get me wrong, but Pixar's Luca is a fantastic example of how you can write a bully character and make him enjoyable to watch. You still hate him because he's a horrible person, but he's so fun. There's an art
or
to
if you really do want to have
writing bullies.
And heck, like I mentioned, Regina George from Mean Girls. Hell, she even kind of gets her own redemption.
Yeah.
Though, to be fair, that's kind of because the world is practically yelling at her by having a bus hit her that, she might need to actually shape up.
Anyway, everybody... Sorry, go on. I thought you were done.
Here's something. If the story was about Chloe letting herself get to the point where she is manipulating Max as the villain, and Max needing to find a way to overcome that, not only to help snap herself, but also Chloe out of it, this would have been much, much better.
Mm-hmm.
But no, instead, we just focus on the fact that Chloe is arguably too dumb to live, so Max has to constantly bail her out.
Fun fact.
And she is none the wiser in how much this is this is stressful to Max.
Fun fact, Chiroyan audience, it was right here in this moment where I decided, okay, I have to comment on this. I'm just going to ask if Dwebs is okay with me taking this off of his hands, because I have to fucking vent about this thing, because this thing is garbage. Absolute fucking rat garbage. Holy fucking shit. And man, I'm so glad that I finally got it out of my system, because God, I hate this game. This is the point where I generally start hating this game, because this game is just... Ugh.
I'd say the worst is over, but... Okay, let me put it like this. To some, yes, this is the worst point. Specifically the bit with Chloe and her rant. Some people argue it does get better, and I can see where they're coming from. However, there is still that disappointing conclusion in episode 5, which...
Not to mention, episode 5 is a fucking train wreck, but we'll get to it.
We'll see you for the next part where we start episode 4.
See you for the next part, everybody.